Hi guys, One Away here, back again for another video on the channel. In this one today then, we'll be doing a little Swansea City transfer roundup, rounding up the rumours over the last couple of days / week. Obviously things haven't been very outgoing for Swansea in terms of transfer news at the moment. It's all quieted down a little bit since pre-season has started, but I thought there's a little bit more information out there to do a little bit of an episode in today's one. So if you do enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, let's get on to the break-in transfer news surrounding Swansea City. So, the main transfer news around Swansea City at the moment is probably outgoings. Now, several players have been left out of pre-season training. Jerry Yates Josh Ginnelly have both been left out of all the friendlies, while Florian Bianchini was not in the matchday squad against Cheltenham Town, not injury-related either. Obviously, we have got other senior players unavailable at the moment. Sang, Benkabango, both out injured, and obviously Ricardo Santos did go off injured against Cheltenham Town, but all three of those are injury-related issues. Now, Jerry Yates, 28 years old, scored 10 goals in the Championship last season, getting 4 assists in 42 games for Derby County. So obviously, you know, very reliable for Derby in terms of availability last season. Helped them stay up in the league, but similar to what he did at Swansea, you know, didn't really impress that much. You know, he did score a few goals, which is what his job is to do at the end of the day, but outside of that, doesn't really offer too much in terms of contribution. He's got 1 year left on his Swansea City contract, Jerry Yates, since we signed him from Blackpool for around about £2.5 million, and that includes Kyle Joseph going the other way as well. So realistically, about £3 million in total for Jerry Yates, and it's turned out to be a terrible signing. But he does have 1 year left in his contract. Swans do have an option of giving him another year, so in terms of, you know, getting some money back for him, we should be able to get at least some financial power back. But we're definitely not going to recoup the money we paid for him, unfortunately. So yeah, like I said, did not go on the pre-season tour to Spain, as I believe did not play against Kidderminster at Swansea's training ground, and did not feature against Cheltenham Town either. Now, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this personally. For me, even if you've got players who probably won't be there at the start of the season, it's probably better to get them in pre-season, because if they do perform and score a goal, or, you know, play well, and you get clipped up on Twitter or TikTok, then, you know, that could alert some parties of their availability. Now, if a club is interested in Jerry Yates or a player XYZ from another Championship club, and they're looking at the availability, the fitness and stuff like that, if player XYZ has been playing in pre-season and Jerry Yates has not, and they've both got very similar records, very similar injury records, similar age, similar fee, they're probably going to pick player XYZ because their fitness levels are going to be a lot higher. Now, I know Yates will probably still be training with the reserve squad and, you know, still be doing stuff, but it's totally different. In pre-season, you need fitness in terms of matches to get that fitness level up. And it's totally different training to play in matches. You know, this is why teams have so many pre-season games, to get the fitness levels up so you're ready for the first game of the season. If Yates does find a club before that, you know, what his fitness levels will be like, we will not know. And similar story last season we saw with Zan Podnik. How long did it take for Podnik to really get fit? He did score in the second game of the season against Preston North End, but, you know, he didn't look match fit and wasn't fit enough to start for a couple of weeks. So yeah, very interesting to see how this Yates situation evolves. At the end of the day, you know, he has scored goals at this level before, has done it in League One before. Now, there is very little reported interest in Yates at the moment. There is one club who definitely are interested in bringing the striker back to Blackpool, and funny enough, that is Blackpool. Now, Jerry Yates is wanted by Blackpool. Now, Steve Bruce said they'd love to have him back, but there are some difficulties in the transfer situation in terms of, you know, if there is reported Championship interest, which apparently there could be 1 or 2 clubs potentially sniffing around Yates as they were previously in the summer, then, you know, Blackpool will probably be the least likely club to go for him, as, you know, he's obviously going to go to the Championship of League One. But, you know, Yates is still 28. He's still, you know, at a good age now. He's still got a couple of years left in him, but obviously he'll want a big contract, hence why Blackpool may not be his favourite option. But yeah, look, he's a fan favourite of Blackpool, done very well there when he was at Blackpool, and that's why we signed him. But unfortunately, it's not clicked for Yates at Swansea. But one thing I will say is, as much as people like to give Yates criticism and don't rate him as a footballer, he was still our joint top scorer. So say what you want about Yates, but considering, you know, he only scored 9 goals in 40 games for us, and only 24 of those with starts in all competitions, you know, he still was our joint top scorer. So, you know, you've got to give him credit in that aspect. But yeah, look, I think it's best for all parties if Yates does leave. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's not turned out to be a good signing. On paper, it looked like to be a good signing. You know, he had scored goals at this level for, you know, a team who got relegated. And obviously we had a better team than Blackpool the time they got relegated, but yeah, it's just not worked out for Yates at Swansea. Now, there's actually 4 players in this, and another player who we'll be talking about is Josh Ginnelly. Similar situation with Jerry Yates, the same age as well, both 28 years old. He joined in 2023, Josh Ginnelly, from a free transfer from Hearts, where he did very well up in Scotland. And he looked a really exciting signing. If anyone remembers his first couple of games of Swansea, he's going an absolute belter in the Carabao Cup, about a 30-yard screamer into the top corner. We were thinking, my word, what have we signed here? And a couple of games later, he plays against Sheffield Wednesday and does his ACL, and he was out for over a year. And yes, it's just a heartbreaking injury for Josh Ginnelly. And with his age now being 28, approaching his 30s, it's very, very unlikely that he'll get a chance at Swansea now. Similar with Yates, like I said, has been left out of all the pre-season games, did not travel to Spain with the squad. And yeah, he's only played 12 games since joining 2023 now. It's not his fault, injuries happen. But, being out for over a year, it's very hard to come back from that, especially at a competitive level like this level. He's only got a year left in his contract. Like I said, not going to be in Alan Sheehan's plans this season for the reason I just said. It takes a while to get back from his injuries, and the way we want to progress as a club, we can't afford to have passengers, which, as harsh as that sounds, it's the reality of football. Now, I do wish Janelli all the best. I wouldn't surprise me if he leaves by mutual consent, similar with the deal with Nathan Shea on at the end of the day. Nathan Shea on, rubbish. We weren't going to get any fee for him. Now, Janelli, really can't see us getting any sort of fee for Janelli with his injury record, and hasn't played, proper football in 2 to 3 years, so I'm not sure what type of team will take a gamble on him financially. So yeah, it may have to be a partial of contracted ways, or maybe a loan deal until the end of the season and he leaves on a free next year. But yeah, hopefully Janelli does find a club, and hopefully he does get back to his best, because we just haven't been able to see him enough at Swansea, and it's a big shame for the guy, because he came in with such high hopes and that ACL injury has just killed him off. Now, back onto some positivity in terms of a signing. According to EFL analysis, not the greatest of sources, I am aware, Swansea City are in pole position to sign Erhahon from Lincoln City. Now, we've been linked with this midfielder all summer. We had a bid rejected early on into the window. I think it was about £1 million. That got rejected. And since then, we obviously signed Ethan Galbraith. Obviously, Melka Weidel came in as well. So we've kind of locked away from midfielders at the moment, but apparently Swans are back in for this Scottish midfielder. Now, he has had offers from Wigan Athletic and Swansea City at the moment of time, so you'd like to think we would be the favourites to sign him, as we are in a better league than Wigan Athletic. But there is apparently reported interest from Bolton Wanderers and fellow championship side Oxford United, so there are some other big teams sniffing around him as well. He was left out of Lincoln's latest friendly due to ongoing transfer negotiations, so a move is looking likely for Ethan, as they're going to want him just to leave now. If he's not being able to play in friendlies, it's just halting all clubs in terms of them being able to get a replacement and him moving to a new club as well. Lincoln's director of football last season said he expected Ethan Erhahon to make a move in the near future due to his ongoing great performances for Lincoln and being one of the standout players in League One. But he also said they expect, if he is to leave, for a club record fee. Now, I'm not sure what Lincoln's club record fee is, but it definitely would be a 7-figure transfer, so around about that £1 million to £2 million deal, I'd assume, similar with the Ethan Galbraith deal, £1.5 million for him. I think it would take that sort of sum to get him out of Lincoln City. But yeah, Scottish midfielder, like I said, been very, very consistent in League One for Lincoln. Ethan Erhahon looks a very good player, and like I said, we have put a bid in for him earlier on in the summer, in I think it was late May, early June, but that just got declined. So yeah, we're back in for him apparently. Some other clubs sniffing around him. Another midfielder potentially amongst the ranks. Obviously, we've got a very strong midfield at the moment. We've still got Jay Fulton, Ollie Cooper there, Cameron Congreve, Joel Cottrell. So we've got some other players who could potentially come in. So we're on to the 7 midfielder marks there. So yeah, if he does come in, you'd probably expect one of Ollie Cooper or Jay Fulton to leave the club indefinitely. Now, the final bit of transfer news. According to Football League Word, Middlesbrough have inquired for Swansea City right-back Josh Key. Now, Josh Key is a player we hardly talk about on this channel. He's decent. I don't think he's a world beater, but he's definitely not, a very poor player. You think he's a decent player at this level and nothing else. The 25-year-old then has been a starter for Swansea City since joining from Exeter in 2023. He's been very, very good for Swansea since joining a free transfer from his boyhood club. Now, it is free transfer, but we had had to go to a tribunal to get a compensation fee because of his age and coming through the extra academy. I think that was around about £400,000. So yeah, very cheap deal for a player of Key's ability. Now Middlesbrough have also got reported interest in another right back at a championship club, Blackburn's Callum Britton, who they are reportedly close to signing. So maybe this Josh Key was just a smoke screen so they could get Britton out of Blackburn. But yeah, there definitely was some sort of, you know, things going on. Obviously, how truthful those were, we're not too sure. But yeah, Alan Nixon, like I said, very unreliable these days. Since Swansea will be looking up to £5 million for a fee for Josh Key. Now, I can't see us getting nowhere near £5 million for Josh Key if there was reported interest. I think, you know, this is just journalists trying to stir up some stuff because they're bored. But yeah, Josh Key to Middlesbrough, can't see this one happening personally. Like I said, Callum Britton close to signing for them, which means they'd have no reason to sign Josh Key. Josh Key, very settled to Swansea. Obviously, Middlesbrough Swansea are a ridiculous way out, and obviously, with his family being from Exeter, Swansea Exeter, not far at all. And obviously we are playing Exeter in a few days' time. So yeah, I don't think it makes sense for Josh Key personally to leave Swansea. And in terms of footballing world, I don't see it make sense either. So let me know your thoughts, guys, on the latest transfer news. Let me know your thoughts on Jerry Yates, Josh Ginnelly and Florian Bianchini. Haven't talked too much about Bianchini in today's episode just because he was part of the other friendly, so I'm not too sure what is going on there, but I might include him next time. But yeah, let me know if you'd like Yates or Ginnelly to stay. Would you like them to get a chance? And if not, why would that be? Let me know your thoughts on Josh Key as well. What do you think of Josh Key? Obviously, in terms of a transfer, he'll probably be staying, but let me know your thoughts on Josh Key. And obviously, Erhahon, if anyone knows much about him, the Lincoln midfielder, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, that's been today's episode. Thanks very much for watching. Like I said, the sooner the transfer rumours heat up, the more episodes I can do. But obviously, been very quiet recently since our pre-season has really started going now. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. But yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, because we are close to 6,000 subscribers.
I